Hey folks, it's been a while, hasn't it? This is my pickup video for September and October 2019, but before we get started, I just wanted to clarify something about this channel. Some of you may be aware of the current drama around YouTube where people are getting their videos mostly demonetized because they've been associated with kids, and I understand the reasoning behind it, but let me just clarify for you that this channel is not for kids. It's never been for kids. The reason why I keep it age appropriate is because I'm a teacher, and if one of my students or their parents or my colleagues were ever to find this YouTube channel, I wanted to make it a place where it would be cool. It's okay, whatever. Miss CJ's got a YouTube channel, and yeah, she talks about some weird stuff on there, but it's totally fine. And yeah, it's always been that way. But let me just clarify again that it's really, really not for kids. This is one of my favorite series ever, Sailor Moon. It's kind of a big deal on my channel. I don't know if you know that. Sailor Moon, it's got some nudity, and it's got some gore. And it's got a lot of it. Just because it's animation, just because it's manga, just because it's cartoony, does not mean it's for kids. I can't clarify that enough. Here are my pickups for September and October 2019. Now, this isn't everything. I've left some stuff behind in my classroom, so tune in to the end to see what that's all about. First up, we have the first 5 volumes of Again. Man, let me tell you about these beautiful things. So, I was in Barnes & Noble. The Kodansha sale was going on, and I was like, I really want to buy some volumes, but I don't want anything. Yay! And I had heard some people praising this series before, and I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. So I got the first 2 volumes and something else, and I took it home, and holy crap. Guys, this is the main character. He's the main character, the guy in volume 2, and this guy might be one of the most relatable characters in manga I've seen in a long time. He is amazing. So basically the gist of the story is this guy is graduating high school and he's absolutely miserable. He just hates his life, and he trips down the stairs actually with this girl over here, and they both end up going back in time to the first day of their high school career, which is super cliche, but then he's like, oh yeah, there was this male cheerleading squad, and they tried to recruit me, and I never joined them, and I wonder what would have happened if I had joined. And so he joins them, and craziness ensues. So male cheerleaders in Japan are different from ones in the US. I have actually been to a baseball game featuring male cheerleaders, and it was bonkers. People were banging on drums. Each individual baseball player had their own cheer. It was one of the most insane things I had ever seen in my life, and it was cool to actually get a perspective into what I actually saw when I was on my trip over there with this series. And so, not only is it, a really cool insight into, Japanese sports and the way that they cheer for their players, but it's also just a ton of fun. And there's some supernatural stuff that goes on in the series. I don't want to say specifically what happens, but it's way more than just a sportsy, romancy, high school cliche manga. It's so much more than that. High recommendation for Again. And I think the author went on to co-write Yuri on Ice, which is, I guess that's cool. Next up, we have Banana Fish, and this was a recommendation from Teddy Taber. I think that's how you say your name. Thank you so much for this recommendation. Now, before I begin, I should clarify that Banana Fish is probably not for me. I was reading this volume, and I just kept reading it and reading it and reading it, and I was like, why am I not entertained? I was like, oh, because, they just keep talking. This manga is just full of people talking. They never stop talking. Now, I should clarify that there are plenty of people who have excellent taste, who enjoy manga that has a lot of talking. I like to think about Death Note, for example, or 20th Century Boys. Both of those series have a lot of talking. And so does Banana Fish. I mean, Banana Fish is a crime drama about this drug named Banana Fish and the terrible way it affects people. And I can definitely tell that this is an excellent, sophisticated, wonderful manga. But for some reason, it didn't click with me, and that's less of an insult to this manga as it is to me. So, my apologies, Teddy DeBear. But yeah, I mean, this is nevertheless, even though I didn't enjoy it because I'm a numbskull, I think this is an awesome series, and you should definitely check it out if you're into, crime dramas and intrigue and, smart people stuff. That's all I'll say about that. No, but seriously, thank you so much. Next up, we have Beastars. This was a recommendation from Fancy Jasper. And Fancy Jasper, let me just tell you right now that I hate you. I hate you so much. Why did you recommend this? I really liked this. Gosh darn it. So people have told me before that Land of the Lustrous is like the Steven Universe of manga. Don't worry, we'll get to my lovely one soon. That's a lie. It's not the Steven Universe of manga. I feel like the same people have also said that Beastars is the Zootopia of manga, but this time they're not wrong. It kinda is. Like, the first volume, at least, I'm not sure about the rest of the series, but the first volume is basically, what if Zootopia actually featured animals that ate each other? And yeah, you see some pretty nasty stuff in this volume. I will say that I really, really, really like the main character, Lugosi, who's named after Bela Lugosi, which is pretty cool. I ended up looking that up. And he's just really fun, really innocent, really kind. He basically reminds me of, like, what Naruto should have been from, like, the series Naruto, where, like, Naruto had this, like, dark side to him, and but, like, it never felt like Naruto and his, like, dark side were ever, like, the same person. It just kind of felt like a cliche, where this is all about, like, Lugosi and him trying to figure out what it means to be a carnivore in this animal society, and it's just fun. That's all I gotta say about it. I heard the anime's pretty good, too, so maybe I'll check that out. Next up, we have A Bride Story, and wow, Kaoru Mori, dude, her art is so good. You really owe it to yourself to check out this manga. It's a drama about a bride who's living in this nomadic tribe, and guys, it's called The Bride Story because it's more than just that bride. Apparently, it's about other brides too. So this volume talks about a widow. This one talks about these twins who are trying to get married, and obviously they get married in that volume. It's very cute, very sweet. And it's interesting to read about other cultures aside from, like, my own or from Japanese culture. Like, it's just really fun. I really liked this volume in particular for its seriousness, and these two volumes were just kind of cute. Again, I'm interested to see where this series goes because it doesn't seem to have, like, a general, like, story arc. It just seems to be kind of these little, like, short stories about different brides. So, yeah, we'll see where it goes from here. Next up, we have One Punch Man, volumes 16 and 17. I've been exclusively buying these from Barnes & Noble. I no longer order One Punch Man on Amazon because I've had so many gosh darn issues with Viz Media and their spines. Like, I've just about had it. So I've started just picking these up from Barnes & Noble as they've been coming out because, yeah, it's a little bit more expensive. I do get a teacher's discount, but it's totally worth just going there, getting it when I need something to buy at, like, the local mall, versus waiting for these volumes to come in the mail and then opening up the package and seeing that they are just complete trash. So, yeah, I just would rather do that from this point on. Nevertheless, about the actual series itself, this arc that they're currently in right now, it's like diving into the monsters world beneath the ground. It's really fun, really intense. If you are a fan of action and manga and you're not reading One Punch Man, I don't know what to say to you. Like, you are absolutely kidding yourself. Please read it. Zombie Man in particular, man, look at that cover. It's just so cool. Gosh darn it. I mean, Murata is just a beast when it comes to art. Fantastic stuff. Next up, we have Dead Demons Destruction. I think I said that right. Volume 7. And Viz Media is doing such a good job with their signature volumes. Like, they do an amazing job with these volumes, and then they just crap out the rest. This series in particular takes a pretty wild turn toward the end of this volume. This is and this is going to be a confession, guys. I'm so sorry, but I was once a dirty scan later. I read the scans of this series before it came out in the West, so this is the first volume where I'm actually experiencing new content, and woo boy, it was worth the wait. It was really, really was. Again, as always, I'm excited to see where this series goes. Thank you, Viz Media, for really taking the time to make these volumes in particular something special. I just wish you would do that for all of your series. Next up, we have Oh Maidens in Your Savage Season, and this was a recommendation from Light Switch Q. Thank you so much for Light Switch Q. And as you can tell, I really liked the first one, so I got the other two. I was curious because I'm an English teacher, and the title seemed like it was a quote from somewhere, which makes sense with the tone of the series, so I looked it up, and nope, it's just an original phrase. So Oh Maidens in Your Savage Season is about a book club. They're like a book club at a school. And these high school girls are reading these classic volumes of literature, which, by the way, guys, and my students find this out pretty quick too, we like to think that stuff these days is so much more crude and so much more sexual than literature has ever been. Guys, no, we are so much more prudish than we ever have been. And these girls find that out the hard way. They're reading these volumes together and they're like, how do we approach scenes featuring stuff like sex? And so each of the girls, there's 5 girls in this club, goes through their own arc. And it's really quite interesting. And it's really mature. It's hard to explain. And not mature like, oh, it's like, you know, there's like nudity and all this stuff like that. It's just, no, it's just really mature. And these girls kind of work through their feelings. Like, it's really hard to explain without getting into spoilers, but I really, really like how realistic their feelings are. Like, because it feels like reading this, that this is something that I, as a girl, when I was their age, I would think about these things. And yeah, I just can't express enough how wonderfully healthy this series is. I really, really want more like it. I think this also works in big part because Mari Okada is a female author, and that's not to say that guys can't write mature stories or that, you know, women can't write immature stories about these subjects, but I think it does help to have that certain insight. My one complaint about this series, though, is one of the characters goes through this really, really dumb arc with her teacher where she's basically trying to get her teacher to do certain things with her, and guys, I am so sick and tired of dumb teacher romance plots. I can't even tell you. I mean, like, obviously it's because I'm a teacher myself, but it's like, guys, it's disgusting. I'm sorry. It's gross. But other than that little blot on the series, I think it's fantastic, and I'm looking forward to future volumes. Thank you so much for the recommendation. Next up, we have Land of the Lustrous. It's so beautiful. Hey, speaking of teacher stuff, one of my favorite lines of the series is in this volume when Sensei basically says to another character, big spoiler, skip ahead like 10 seconds into the video if you don't want to be spoiled, starting now. He basically says, yeah, one of the toughest things I've ever had to go through was to try to be your teacher, to try to act like your mentor. And it's like, dang, man, if that's not some teacher feels, I don't know what is. This series is awesome. It's amazing. I think one of my favorite parts about becoming a manga YouTuber is just how many people have told me that they were inspired to read this series because of my videos. And, you know, obviously I'm not Haruko Ichikawa. Like, this series is not my baby, but like, this series changed my life, dude. Like, I can't even tell you. Some of its themes are just so profound. Like the theme of like, you know, are you still the same person as when you started out? Like, does life change you to a point where you can't ever go back? You know, like, those questions still, like, haunt me. I mean, this series is just fantastic, and in my opinion, it's just retained its quality throughout. I'm just so looking forward to just a terrible, sad ending, though. It's gonna be great. Next up, we have Sacrificial Princess and the King of Beasts, and this one was from Snow Wolf Alpha. Thank you so much for this recommendation. Now, like with Banana Fish, let me tell you, this is a fantastic recommendation, even if I didn't 100% like it. Now, this was fun. Don't get me wrong. I had a lot of fun reading this because it's super cute and actually reminded me a lot of like shoujo manga that I would pick up on the shelf when I was younger, and like, because basically like I would read anything I could find, and this reminded me a lot of those manga volumes. This reminds me of like this, I don't know, it's kind of like Ancient Magus's Bride meets Beauty and the Beast. It's very, very much a mix of those two. What I will say about this series, though, is if you're a fan of stuff like Ancient Magus's Bride, Beauty and the Beast, this is 700% for you. The series is way, way more soft than the cover really portrays it as. This cover is super serious compared to how lighthearted it really is. In particular, I really like the character designs of the King of Beasts servants. Like, especially there's like one called, or these two called Cyclops. They're super, super cute. Yeah, it's a wonderful series. I think it's a great thing, even if it's not my thing. It's a great thing, even if it's not my thing. You guys get what I'm saying. It's not my cup of tea, but if you're interested in stuff like that, I say go for it. It's cute, it's innocent, it's fun. Hey, speaking of something that's not cute, innocent, or fun, To Your Eternity, Volume 10. Let me put this the right way. kind of mixed on this volume. It has a fantastic conclusion, but I'm really just confused as to where this series is going to go from here. Like A Bright Story, this series doesn't really seem to have a clear arc. Doesn't really seem to have a clear direction, and I just really want to know where it's going to go. Again, 10 out of 10 on the creepy cover, though. Really sweet stuff. This is also by the same person that did A Silent Voice, so if you liked that, check this out. A lot of the same horrible feelings, but in a fantasy setting. And then finally, we have One Piece Color Walk Compendium number 2. Viz, thank you so much for finally bringing these over. Yes, this is a compilation of 3 volumes. We're not getting the individual volumes, which have fantastic art on them, by the way, but I still really, really appreciate this. The interviews with Oda and other manga authors in the back of this book are the reason to get this book. Seriously, read them. They're so interesting and so informative. And thank you again, Viz, for more wonderful One Piece content. I'm filming this section in my classroom, which is why you might hear some weird noises going on in the background. Just school life. First up is Cucumber Quest, and this was a request by Shaylin Green. I believe that's how you say your name. Oh my goodness, let me tell you, this is so heckin' cute. Look at that. My students love it. You see this little thing here? This is a bookmark because the student's currently reading it in one of my extra English classes. It's adorable. Really great art. This, I believe, started out as a webcomic, but if I get more money in, I definitely want to buy more. This is adorable. It's basically about this little kid who wants to go to wizard school, and then his dad's like, you can't go to wizard school, you got to beat the big bad guy. And his sister, who everybody underestimates, is really strong and goes with him, and it's adorable. I in particular really like the Oracle character. She's super narcissistic and vain, and I just love characters like that. Really great recommendation, and my students love it, as you can clearly see. Next, we have My Hero Academia. This is volume 21, featuring Best Girl. Yes. So I love this cover. Let me just tell you, it's so cool. Endeavor is personally one of my favorite characters because I love trash characters, and I love Hawks in the background there. His wings being burned by the flames. Just incredible stuff. And also, obviously, a very incredible volume, especially for Endeavor. Now, Endeavor is a terrible guy. I should probably clarify. He's not, like, a great person, but I like him a lot as a character because it just goes to show you that villains and negative people come from circumstances, and they can be redeemed. They don't have to be forgiven, but they can be redeemed. Next, we have My Hero Academia Smash, and I got this one for my My Hero Academia fans, and gonna be honest with you, I haven't read it yet, but it just hasn't won the hearts of the students. This barely gets touched. I've had a student try it, and she was like, I really don't like the art style, and yeah, I mean, yeah, I get it. Next up, we have QQ Sweeper, and this was a recommendation from Baku Watch. Thank you so much for this recommendation. This one in particular is really super cool. Speaking of sweeping, I can hear the sweeping going on outside of the vacuum. This is a weird shoujo. It was like the author jokes it at one point. She's like, I tried to make the darkest shoujo possible. It's basically about this girl who like goes to this school and she meets this guy who's called the Master Cleaner, and he doesn't just clean, he also cleans like the negativity out of people's lives, which is really super interesting. Like, there's a scene with a bunch of millipedes or whatever. Oh, and there goes the cleaner again. I love that the cleaner's interrupting my video when I'm talking about cleaning. And yeah, it's cute. It's interesting. It's not something that like gripped me right away, and I'm like, oh my gosh, these characters are super interesting, and I definitely want to continue forever. But we'll see how my students see it, because as I figured out, this is pretty age appropriate. Like, I ended up bringing Sacrificial Beasts, to the school too, because it's age appropriate as well. So if they like it, I'll buy more. Thanks for the recommendation. It's definitely a silly alternative take on what could have been a really, really simple concept, just cleaning, which I really like that. Next up, we have Space Boy, and this is another recommendation. You can see my notepad here. Another recommendation from Life is No Fairy Tale. Thanks so much, and my students love this one. Holy crap. Yeah, see another bookmark? There it is. I just put that one on the shelf, by the way. This one is about a girl who lives in a space colony, and then she goes to Earth, and because of the way that space travel works, she ends up basically traveling some years into the future, so her friend's like an adult now, and it's very sad. Let me tell you right now, my students love this one. They get so worked up over it. They're like, it's so sad. I'd be so sad if I was younger than my friend. And I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for making my students upset.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Next up, we have the final volume of Star Wars Lost Stars. I think, anyway, this ends on a cliffhanger. Not really sure where this series is supposed to go. I know it's based on a novel, and I'm curious to look up more about that, but as far as adaptations are concerned, this was really, really good. And especially if you're a fan of the original trilogy, which I certainly am, and I love seeing Star Wars content that's based on the original trilogy. Next up, we have the fourth volume of Witch Hat Atelier, and guys, first off, the cleaner's back. Secondly, look at that beautiful art. Oh my gosh, guys, pick up this series alone for the art. And I think this is the only volume I have where the spine isn't janked up. Every single volume I have of this series is just janked up. Kodansha, please get on that. But yeah, please pick this up. It's so gorgeous. And it's kid-friendly too, which I really, really appreciate. The school library right now has it because I recommended it. Yeah, please go pick this up.
Thanks so much for watching this video, I really appreciate it. And now it's your turn. If you want to recommend anything for me, please do so in the comments below. I love reading your guys' recommendations. And until next time, this is CJ, signing off.